Thanks, Chrissy. Thanks for the introduction. Yeah, so we've recently picked up a tin project in Queensland to complement our uranium asset in South Australia. So just a quick investment highlights for Koba. We've got a tin tungsten project in Queensland. We're going to be drilling that in Q2. I've got a uranium project in South Australia. We're going to be drilling that next month. So good news flow over the next few months. Supportive jurisdictions of South Australia and Queensland. A strong, experienced team. We're well funded with $4.9 million at bank at the end of the last quarter. So capital structure, we've got a market cap of 12, as I said, $4.9 million in the bank. Highly experienced board. Mike Haynes, ex-MD of New World Resources and current chairman of Expedra. Plus myself, I'm a geologist, 20 years experience, predominantly an exploration manager. Been doing this now as a CEO of Koba for about 4 years. And then Scott Funston's a financial guy and managing director of Expedra. So I want to talk mainly about the Stanley Hills and Mount Garnet tin tungsten projects. They are our shiny new tools that we're very excited about. We acquired these in October last year, and we're getting ready to drill as soon as we can after the wet, which is coming up in April. So they're in the Herberton tin field, which is the second largest producing tin field in Australia after Tasmania. And historically, very prominent district. And a lot of the production happened like a long time ago, like 1880 to 1930. This map on the screen now shows the historic mines in the area. The pink ones are within our tenements and the grey ones are in the greater district. Now the area is grossly explored. It's had very limited drilling since 1985, so very little done in the last 40 years. We've recently conducted 2 rock chip sampling programs and got rock chip samples up to 26.1%. So amazing high-grade opportunity here. We've got numerous high-grade targets. As I said, we're going to be getting out there to drill our maiden program in early Q2. And we've got really good exposure to the booming tin market. As I say, the tin reached its all-time high during January this year. It's still sitting around about $48,000 a tonne. So strong supply and demand fundamentals for the tin market. As I said, well funded to execute these programs. A little bit more detail on the Stanley Hills and Mount Garnet. So they're located about 100 k's from Cairns, out in cattle country, pretty sparse country, pretty much only cows and kangaroos out there. As I said, there is a very prominent historical tin field and a lot of tin mines on our property, including the Kitchener Trend, where 7 mines historically produced about 120,000 tonnes at 2.3% tin. So amazing grade. It's kind of what you expect from the old timers. They left the low grade behind, and that's what we're going to chase some of that as well to complement the high grade. Also, the Gilmore mine produced 26,000 tonnes at 7.3%. There's a lot of significant mineral resources unmined in the area. There's a processing plant in the area, a 70,000 tonne processing plant. Some of these resources are held by private companies. The private company that owns the mill are looking to increase that production capacity to about 250,000 tonnes. So if we can find something in this area, we've got a clear pathway to development. So the Stanley Hills project, over 100 mines. There's only about 85 holes drilled historically. No drilling since 1985. So it hasn't had any work done on it, significant work done on it in 40 years. So we're preparing a 3,000 metre program to concentrate on the Kitchener Trend and the Jiminy prospect initially. That's what I'll get into. So this image here is a section of the line of lode at the Stanley Hills area. This is where the 120,000 tonnes at 2.3% tin was produced. But as I said, most of this mining was done in the 1930s. There's a little bit done in the 70s and 80s, but predominantly in the 1930s. So they really focused on the high grade. But you can see from some of the drilling results done in the 1980s, there's also some pretty thick intersections. 9.8 metres at 1.3%, that's outstanding numbers for a 10 metre intersection. But then there's also results like 54 metres at 0.45% tin. In these days, with the current tin environment, 0.5% is pretty much economic tin grades. And so we're looking to extend this mineralisation, both the high grade zones and also to bulk it out to get a bulkable resource at economic grades. So what's our program going to do? We're going to target the high grade mines initially. For example, the You and Me one on the far northern end of this one, it's had a few holes done in 1985, but the deepest hole was 60 metres.
And some of these holes they drilled had mineralisation from 3 or 4 metres down to almost 60 metres, including a hit of 54 metres at 0.45%. So there's a magnificent opportunity here to discover some pretty thick mineralisation. And as we we'll drill you and me, then we'll step along to the Kitchener Trend, another high-grade opportunity, and then across to the Eclipse. And if we can piece all of this together over 1.3 kilometres of strike, and then start infilling drilling along this trend, there's a substantial opportunity to define a good-sized high-grade resource. You can see these historic mines go down to 200 metres, so we know the mineralisation goes to 200 metres depth, and we're anticipating that it will continue well beyond that as well. So there's great lateral continuity, there's great depth extent, really good grade, a really great opportunity to discover a significant deposit here. Now the second prospect we're going to drill in early Q2 is the Jiminy prospect. Now it's a 1.5 kilometre long high grade soil anomaly. The highest soil anomaly is coming back here at 2500 ppm, which is 0.25%. Pretty close to ore grade in soil sampling. So it's an amazing soil anomaly. It's there's multiple historical mines along this soil anomaly, and when we went out and visited this just before Christmas, we took a whole bunch of rock chip samples, and this is where the 26% rock chip sample came from. So there's a extensive high grade mineralisation across this soil anomaly, and it's never ever been drilled. So this is one of our highest priority targets. We can get out there pretty quickly and stick some holes into this, and under historic mines along this soil anomaly, and again 1.5 kilometres of strike. We're pretty confident that we're going to be able to find some high grade mineralisation, and within a thicker lower grade envelope as well, bulk mineable type thing. So we're really excited about tin during this boom environment. I want to jump quickly to a little bit of tungsten. So this is the Mount Garnet project. It's the southern of the two projects. There's also a couple of really exciting tin prospects at Mount Garnet, but I'm going to specifically talk about the tungsten today, just because it's a little bit different to the previous prospects. So it's situated about 125 k's south of Mount Carbine, which is a 40 million tonne resource tungsten at about 0.23% tungsten, and that's where they're mining at the moment, so it's a producing operation. This area's had some significant rock chip samples returned, 15% tungsten, 9% tungsten, 7% tungsten, so some extremely high grades when you consider that most of the mines these days are sub 0.5%. So this area has never had a dedicated exploration program for tungsten. Most of the work previously has been done, especially the drilling, has been done for tin. So we're going to get out there and do the first dedicated tungsten program. We're going to be out there doing some rock chip sampling as soon as we can get out there in April, and we'll be advancing those targets towards drilling so we can undertake the first ever tungsten drilling program at Mount Garnet. This is a bit of a timeline for the tin project. RC drilling starting in April. A couple of months going there. Simultaneously, we'll be sampling the tungsten. Then we're going to be doing some soil sampling and some IP to delineate additional targets. And then we're going to be back drilling again in the middle of the year. We'll be drilling our tin prospects at Mount Garnet. We'll be doing additional drilling at the Kitchener Trend and also the Jiminy prospect. And then hopefully also drilling some tungsten targets that we managed to generate in the meantime. We know they're there, massive high-grade rock chips, a few historical tungsten mines, and that's what we're going to chase. But also, I don't want to forget about our uranium project. That's been our focus for the last couple of years, and we're proximal to two producing ISR operations, being Boss Energy and also the Heathgate operation. And if you look at this slide, that red part of the paleo channel is where Boss is, and there's a 35 kilometre section of that paleo channel that hosts 50 million pounds of uranium, including the Honeymoon producing operation. And then the orange and yellow paleo channels are the paleo channels within our property. We've got 5,000 square kilometres of ground and over 250 kilometres of these same mineralised paleo channels in our property, immediately along strike from Honeymoon. Honeymoon's only 17 kilometres away, so if we can make a discovery in this area, then we will be off to the races with a clear pathway to production with the Honeymoon operation. We've got a drilling program commencing at our Everest prospect next month. We're going to drill about 2,500 metres at the Everest prospect, which is one of the discoveries we made in 2025. So in 2025, we actually made 4 discoveries. We drilled 141 holes for 14,600 metres. The Everest is the one we're going to target.
It's a 4 kilometre long mineralised trend with multiple high-grade intercepts. Other 2 discoveries, Berber, Delord and Shivers.
You're good.
Excellent. Thanks, Chrissy.